.46 a.m. at Jay's Geek House. This is the stream that I didn't want to make last week. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay, and believe it or not, I didn't have any overtime tonight, and we probably will not have OT at the 9 to 5 this week. But if we do, it has to stay below, like, it can't be like full nights, because the holiday is 8 hours. That basically means no such thing as time and a half for the budget people or whatnot. But the plan for Christmas is that we're being very aggressive, and we are going to slam away in order to not have to work on Christmas Eve. No Santa shift. So, and even if we have to, I guarantee you that the brass will want to have an early start if we are in on Christmas Eve, because at midnight, holiday overtime begins. So it's one of those night shift things where we pretty much can count on having a short night if we're here at all, if we're in at all on Christmas Eve. Which would still be an improvement over the Santa shift that I did at the warehouse fiasco many years ago when I saw the clock past midnight and I was there until like 3, 4 in the morning on Christmas. Nobody likes that sort of thing. So it's going to be an interesting week. But the good news is that the wild and crazy running around should be done as of now. The only wild and crazy running around that we're going to be doing this week is basically what we want to do in order to not have to work on Christmas Eve. So this is the stream that I didn't want to make last week. I didn't want to be trying to stream with sunrise approaching and stuff like that, but with the week being a little bit less wild than last week, I think sleeping in's not as much of an issue for me this week as it would have been a week ago. So I want to just say I have a very simple topic to talk about, and the title of the stream says it all. College Flashback Airbnb. We are going to make our way to this topic, and it's going to be fun, you know, an idea, just some brainstorming, maybe some nostalgia or something along those lines. But let's just talk about a few things with 2021 coming up. So here's how it's going to work. The Geek House Dark Mode project is going to be the finale of the current season of the Wacky World of MultimediaJay, which for 2020 is actually shorter than numerous other seasons. I only have 18 videos in the playlist for Into the 2020s, Wacky World of MultimediaJay Season 7. And then 2021, well, here's the thing. Going into 2021, there's going to be 3 kinds of content on this channel. 3 kinds of content. Videos, streams, and stuff from streams. And for the videos, I want the videos to be more like television again. So the meta on YouTube went from TV style more towards these web series type videos we have today. But I think that the current meta for making YouTube videos is basically does not take into account the rise of live streaming. And so I want my channel to take that into account. So I'm looking for something for videos that is binge watchable, something that people can click around and just watch this, then watch that, then watch this, and let the streams and stuff from streams deal with the simpler stuff. So kind of the split and the way things used to be with like Wacky World of MultimediaJay versus vlogs and things like that a couple of years ago. But that's basically a way to take into proper account live streaming and what live streaming has done to this scene. And in terms of YouTube versus Twitch, there's some things I'll do on Twitch, some things I'll do on YouTube. There'll be a split between the two. Monetize on both platforms as a Twitch affiliate and YouTube partner. So in terms of monetizable hobbies, I'm covered no matter what. So I'm just going to test out Twitch, see how Twitch compares to YouTube, and actually be able to know what I'm talking about when I talk about this stuff. Let's see, that's part of the whole tech nerd thing with all of this, is I'm a nerd. I want to tinker with stuff, and I want to experiment with stuff, see what works, see what doesn't, and then talk about what's been going on. It's all for science or something like that. The mass abandonment this year has really taken a lot of the wind out of my sails, though, especially when I'm bringing over some of these tech videos that have been on Daily Motion for a couple of years that newer fans of the channel probably have not seen yet. So I bring it over and it gets like 20 views like the rest of them, maybe 30, maybe 40. Just goes to show the tech videos were the worst thing to happen to my channel. We'll save that discussion for another day, though. I want to talk about college flashback Airbnb. And for that, I've got some PowerPoint for that sort of thing. To understand where I'm coming from with this, so let's talk about the idea. Let's just say the idea first and then talk about how the heck I'm thinking about this. So I had a really hard time concentrating tonight because I've just been trying to figure out how this idea specifically would work. Let's actually get some background music going as well. So it looks like my ear trumpet wasn't working the other night because I still was logged on the other logon on this computer. So see, let's fire this up, get some music from Slink, DJ Williams, etc. going. All right, let's talk about this idea. So college flashback Airbnb. It's the sort of thing that only the pandemic would really make viable here. If you know about what's going on with Airbnb and things like that during the pandemic and similar stuff during the pandemic, then you'll know there's been some pretty bizarre things popping up on Airbnb. So, or people are trying to Airbnb, turn into a verb, etc. They're trying to rent or in some other way monetize assets, so to speak, in rather bizarre ways that only the pandemic would get people to want to do. So think venues, for example, venues that weren't able to do much, if any, business this year. How do you recoup some of that money? You offer stuff you normally don't offer. So the wildest Airbnb, and I was sharing some of this on Twitter before going live, so some of the weird random stuff I share, there's a reason why I share it. If you haven't seen the Airbnb yet for the Pensacola Blue Wahoos Stadium, it's basically the ballpark of the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, and for $1,500 roughly a night, with up to 10 guests, you can actually have your own ballpark. You can actually sleep at the ballpark. So you actually can rent a ballpark for, if you get 10 of your buddies, $150-ish a night. $1,500 if you're by yourself. But up to 10 guests, 1 bedroom, 10 beds, 3 shared bathrooms. Because you're basically renting a ballpark. And there is staff at the ballpark. The ballpark is staffed up. You can even play baseball late at night at the ballpark. It's really cool. It's the sort of thing that only the pandemic would make into anything that people would even think about doing with a venue like that. But my question is, when the baseball games resume there, could there still be the option during the off season to like rent the ballpark or something when the team wasn't actually using the facility? Because I mean, renting ballparks as venues, and there's a ballpark in my neck of the woods that has these kinds of issues. Renting ballparks as venues is something that a lot of the management of these places has had to figure out. I got a carpet in the wrong place. Move a few things here. You know, I actually get rid of the caster wheels in the bottom of my chair and get real scooter wheels on my chair, and it still feels like I'm getting stuck. I don't know. Different video. So, you have the Pensacola Blue Wahoo's Airbnb, and also at the same time, movie theater chains like AMC and whatnot. Movie theater chains have been offering private screenings of up to 20 people, so you can actually essentially Airbnb a movie theater and get a private screening of a video, so, or of a movie. So it's pretty interesting, and it's the sort of thing that only the pandemic would bring into existence or make viable in any way, shape, or form. So here's the thing: imagine if your alma mater could play to the nostalgia of alumni at your school by Airbnb-ing certain dorms for like a college nostalgia experience. Now, I don't know what the cost of that would be, but knowing that with my own alma mater, there's homecoming and reunion. And one of the reasons why I don't go to my college reunions is because they cost like hundreds of dollars because you have to put yourself up in a hotel. So, actually, it can cost quite a bit of money, actually, depending on what hotel you set yourself up in. But having to travel out there and all the other stuff, I don't really find it interesting enough for me to spring for it when maybe like one or two people from my class grand total even go to these things in the first place, and it's mostly just a football game. You know, the homecoming festival, like maybe a weekend or something with a football game. Not really the sort of thing. See, here's the thing. I am an older millennial, pushing 40, but I don't really do some of the things that my generation is known for, and one of those things is I'm not a big fan of buying experiences. I don't want to spend a ton of money on like an experience where all I have is memories and maybe a couple of YouTube videos. I mean, that's not the sort of thing I want to do. I want to actually buy things that give me enjoyment for years instead of go out and get drunk or go to a party with my friends or whatever and we're all hungover the next day, you know. And of course, now that I'm older, it's more of an issue with health and whatnot, not wanting to drink too much. But I've never really jived well with this idea of spending a bunch of money for an experience. It's not the sort I could never justify it. Why should I spend a bunch of money? And this goes all the way back to college. It's funny we're talking about all this. But, you know, I built my system. I worked, made money, built my own computer, got into PC gaming, fooled with audiovisual stuff, kind of like what I do nowadays, but with far more inferior technology. I mean, I only wish I could have had a setup like this back in college. Not in a million years. So, I mean, the money I made from my audiovisual job as an AV guy on campus, that went to like buying books and stuff for my classes, but also whatever I could squeeze in as a hobby. PC gaming, tinkering with multimedia setups, however limited it was. And I didn't need a lot of equipment because there was no YouTube yet. So, and I also work for the AV office. So if I had a project that required a video camera, I could just sign out one from the AV office. Yeah, it'd be VHS, but it was still a camera. So most of what I had was like a sound system for my computer and a webcam or something, or maybe a microphone. I actually have some pictures from college I want to show as part of this discussion. But, you know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You know, some of what I do today has its ancestral roots, so to speak, in what I did back in my college days. And I was an AV geek then, just like I am now. I was a multimedia nerd then, just like I am now. It's just the technology was cruder. There were tube monitors instead of flat panels everywhere. It was a different world. And it's not, I mean, I can be nostalgic, but I love what we have today versus what we had in the 2000s. So I love what we have today. I think it's a massive improvement. So I find it interesting that if I look at too much college stuff, I end up with, if you ever heard of lucid dreams. Lucid dreams are weird dreams you have where you are aware that you are dreaming, basically. So you take what's happening to you with a grain of salt because somehow or another you know it's not real, or there is some kind of bleed over from real life coming into your dream. So in my case, a lot of what this is flashback dreams. So I'll dream that I'm like back in high school or back in college, as was the case this time, or maybe even back at the place I had before this geek house, and I get hit with a wave of cognitive dissonance because I am in some way aware that is not really happening to me. That I am pushing 40, pushing middle age, and that I am a lot older than the setting of where I'm dreaming. And that I'm working full-time and things like that. So last night in particular, I dreamed that I went back to college and I was there for orientation as somebody who, for some strange reason, was living on campus while working on a master's degree, because that'd be the next step up for me. I'd go back for a Master of Business Administration, MBA, or something like that, if I really want to do that, which I don't. So, but I'm dreaming that I'm back on campus for some whatever reason. And I'm fully aware that I have a job, and I'm like, am I going to keep working? How am I going to pay for this? What am I going to do? I haven't studied, or I'll dream that I have some exam coming up that I am absolutely not prepared for because, well, no, I am somehow aware that I've been working instead of actually taking this class that I'm dreaming about. So it was interesting, but I woke up, I was like, what the heck did I ever do? Because the reason why we dream is because our brains are filing away information from when we were awake. It's why you can learn stuff by sleeping on it. Sometimes, you'll try to do something and you will not do very well. You'll sleep and then you'll do things better just because that's when our brains file away information. Sometimes it has weird side effects like dreams and nightmares and stuff. So I was like, okay, so why on earth is this garbage happening to me? Why am I dreaming that I'm a middle-aged guy going back to college with a bunch of people in their late teens, early 20s to get a master's degree as a residential student? Like, what? Why? Why am I dreaming that I'm going back to college as to get a master's degree as a residential student? It makes no sense. And then, well, let's just fire up PowerPoint here. So I was poking around after the last stream, and let's switch over to PowerPoint. I have some pretty funny slides here. College stuff lol.pptx. Yeah, I had actually found. I was poking around on the computer and I found this video, which was shot with a little ball cam webcam as a college freshman. This is 20 years old. Now, some of you may have seen on my Twitter, twitter.com/MultimediaJay, some of you may have seen over on my Twitter the statistics of this video, which is what that random video thing was that I posted yesterday, technically. Night shift today, day shift yesterday, So the 12-second video, 320 by 240, a data bitrate of only 27,000 kilobits versus 6 megabits for a Twitch stream and higher for YouTube stuff. The audio was at 88 kilobits per second in mono, 11 kilohertz sample rate, so telephone quality. Very old video file, and that was this. This was an inside joke from a PowerPoint show with video they were trying to make look like a television show for an English class I was taking at the time, and I'm glad it shows up on the preview. And I'm not getting overlaid. This is me as an 18-year-old college freshman. Inside joke. Jumping up and down on the bed, dancing in the dorm room. I just gotten on the college broadband when I arrived on campus. I'd found collegehumor.com and saw people doing stupid videos of themselves. And this was something, I was part of a project I was doing at the time. But look at that awful quality. This was a Logitech QuickCam ball cam back in the day. This is the 20-year ancestor of a webcam you'd use to stream with nowadays. This is before I gained all the weight from eating too much as well, by the way. So I was only a couple of months removed from high school at the time. So no, This is before I, went and ate all the stuff I wasn't supposed to. Take that, health nut stepmother, and then regret it later. Yeah, look at that. 15 frames per second. Horrible, horrible quality. Oh, man. Don't even know what those dance moves are supposed to be. But this was part of actually a music video, so that's why I was doing the stupid random dancing. But here I am as a college freshman wearing sunglasses indoors and blue. So, some things don't change. People may think I'm some boomer on YouTube trying to look cool and stuff. Look at that huge tube monitor. I backed the desk away from the wall in the dorm room, and I still had to put it at an angle. And so a semester of looking at an angle like this actually gave me a sore neck. So what you're looking at, if we fast forward to junior year, is this. This is actually my setup. Look at AOL Instant Messenger. There's the ball cam right there. Let's click on it. There's the ball cam on top next to the stress cow, the two Yankees things like that. The old HP Pavilion, vitamins. Take your vitamins, brother. Landline phone, banana phone. Oh boy. I still have that too. I have zero use for it. Answering machine hidden behind the monitor. Use an alarm clock just to display the time in case I was playing something full screen. Things like that. And then, of course, microphone and Altec Lansing speakers using stereo mirroring, splitting the audio out the back of the computer, and a second set of speakers were in the back. So, but this is the ball cam. This is what we saw on this back in the day. Yeah, webcams. And I got ripped off probably by the college bookstore buying this. I think there were better cameras available at the time, but I didn't go off campus for it. Oh. Got ripped off with a portable CD player once too. $80 for a non-MP3 CD player. So, I think it was seeing this video and chuckling about it that might have triggered the weird dream. But I was thinking, you know what? In this day and age where there's all these weird Airbnbs going on, here's the original Geek Suite. Let's get to that shortly. In this day and age with all these Airbnbs that are going on and all this weird stuff because of the pandemic making people rethink how they sell stuff, so to speak, with regards to venues, I'm actually curious if colleges would consider during the off season, so to speak, when there aren't any classes going on, Airbnb-ing a section of their dorms as a nostalgia thing for alumni. And yeah, there's amenities in the local area and stuff like that, but just, the whole thing where you can't go back, that sort of thing. Well, what if you could? What if you and a bunch of your college buddies who now talk on social media in 2020 organize a get-together, your own little friend group reunion, not like the official homecoming reunion, where you all, get together, have a few parties on campus because the dorms are empty because nobody's there. I'm wondering how much money is being left on the table by my alma mater and other places that aren't doing this. I'm trying to think of how that would work too. But here's the original OG Geek Suite from the Grand Theft Auto 3D era for those of you that play GTA games. Well, look at that thing with floppy disks. And then this thing had zip disks in it at the time. Yeah, who remembers zip disks, huh? Is this on here? Can we see the preview? Yeah, so if I click this, I get my mouse pointer back. Okay, good. Why I'm forgetting how OBS works, who knows? So, wait, where's the... Hold on a second. Where's the thing for... I am locked. Let's do restore. Nope. Move. There we go. I actually locked the title bar off the top of the screen, or I have overscan on my TV, one of those two. But I gotta get my title bar on the screen for that. Alright. Let's get back to these slides. This is the OG Geek Suite, and this is the ancestor of my current setup with the computer and then the keyboards off to the side. It's a mixture of computers and audiovisual stuff. So, and then here's the other view. This is the one that people might understand a little more. But yeah, Grand Theft Auto 3 poster, the ones, basically the game posters that came with the game. There's the silver bullet, my joystick for Battlefield 1942, N64 and Super Nintendo, headset, speakers, stuff like that. Chair, although I didn't really need two chairs. Keyboard's right there for playing music because that can go through the sound system. had sound fonts and stuff and a book full of songs, things like that. And the lights that were on top of the tables, that were on top of the desks, I just turned sideways, use them as lighting. Put a fan up top so that the air conditioning coming in could be circulated around the room in the summertime. This is the OG Geek Suite from my last summer working on campus. And it is an ancestral forerunner to my setup, the setup I have now. There's the silver bullet. And yeah, it's just nostalgia, man. There it is, front view. So, headset, deodorant. Can't forget your deodorant, brother. Little crab thing. Forgot what those were, but I think I won that in some kind of event or some giveaway or something. I thought it was cute. Newegg hat. Back when Newegg was 2 words. Yeah, it's the nostalgia, man. Tube monitor. This is my HP Pavilion tube monitor that blew up. The flyback transformer went out with a bang. Took the monitor with it in the summer of 04. So, Super Nintendo yellowing from sitting at home in a plastic thing hidden from my folks who gave away my regular Nintendo. Yeah. But if you look at this setup from college, it's very similar to what I have right now. I build my own computer. I have a keyboard with a volume knob, optical mouse, all kinds of cool stuff. And this is move out day. This is move out day from the senior townhouses, graduation day. Graduated, half the stuff was in the car, was cleaning the room up and getting the other half of the stuff in the car. Some Febreze things, some water bottles, laundry, clothes, the fan. No, I don't still have that fan, by the way. I have one that looks like it, but that's not it. Windex, stuff I was cleaning the place with, blah, 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 blah. The keyboard stand. And yeah, this is move out day. The reason why I even have this picture in this discussion is because just to document my setup, the bed was against the wall, I had the desk in the middle, then I was between the desk and the keyboard so I could get surround sound. And this is where I played all my Morrowind. When I played Morrowind basically as my free time and got engrossed in an Elder Scrolls game for the first time ever. So there were times too when it'd be raining in the game and I'd get tired, so I just leave the game going and I take a nap with the the sound of the rain and whatnot. It was really relaxing. So this is an old setup, and these are 2 of probably some of the happiest dorm room experiences I had when I was in college, senior, and working on campus for AV and IT during the summer. So. All right, and then, of course, at the end of the slideshow, for those of you that think the sunglass thing is only something I do nowadays, here's another example of me trying to look cool with a pair of imitation Oakleys, a lava lamp, some green tea, because the hot water in the dorms was hot enough to make tea with, some air cans for dusting out my computer, CDs. I think this was one of my dorm rooms where I stashed the keyboard in the closet. Then I just closed the curtain and nobody knew I had a keyboard and I was playing music. College stuff, man. Different world, different era, and to an extent, different me as well. But what those two represent, basically, back to 2020 and far superior picture and video equipment. Woo! So, what those represent really is the reason why I'm thinking about this idea. So imagine if, and it's not like, going back to your college as an adult with a car and, staying there like you're on vacation or something. If there's stuff to do in the local area, you can go out to restaurants or things like that. Obviously, this is a post-pandemic idea, but I think it would be pretty cool. It would also be pretty cool in terms of tearing down like the barriers between the various generations of alumni. So you can imagine what the party scene would be like if you had a bunch of people having get-togethers with their old college buddies, but they invited other alumni to go to these parties. So you'd have folks from my generation playing like Hoobastank or something like that, or the Hives or something like that, or stuff that was available during the heydays of MP3. Oh boy, I've got my headphones tangled again. Then they're getting pulled on stuff because I actually still use corded stuff. Whatever, man. Could go wireless like the rest of the world, but yeah. Is that still pulling on something? Yes, it is. But now it's going into the sleeve like it's supposed to. Get a wireless headset. Everybody else has one. Fight the power. So you can just imagine what it'd be like having something like this going on, and the college blocks off certain parts of the dorms so everybody's near each other for this sort of thing. And you've got people from my generation playing music from the 2000s at their parties because it's all about nostalgia. Or maybe you go visit some folks who are a bit older and they're playing 90s music or 80s music or 70s music or something like that. So it's something. Why do I need to size this chair up? What am I doing? It's kind of cool, maybe there's people that didn't go to the school at the same time that you did, and they're there for the nostalgia just like you are, and you make some new friends. Or in the case of my alma mater being a business school, maybe professional contacts, maybe you can learn about jobs or something. Maybe the college can push some philanthropy. They can give you a campus tour, show you what's been going on since you graduated. Maybe hit you up for money, I don't know. Donate to the fund for helping new graduates or whatever. Yeah, colleges are good for that sort of thing. It's one of the reasons why I only have an email address on file with them. I never gave them my new phone number when I moved over here. And if they ever got my phone number and I started getting calls, I'd change my SIM card. Yeah, I deliberately keep my contact information not up to date with them so they can't bother me with calls for donations. I'm like, look, you brag about how much money your graduates make. When I'm making that kind of money, I will donate. But I have never seen that money in nearly 20 years. So, give me resources, give me some contacts. Maybe I can move to the city or something where more of our alumni live and work in companies that value us more, as opposed to out here in the woods where half the people that you go to try and get a job with are scared you're trying to gun for their job or take over their business. Yeah, I've run into some of that. Part of the reason why I'm even involved in big companies in the first place. I intimidate the people in the small companies. They find out my background. So this idea, this college flashback Airbnb, how would it work? It's up to really, the various folks involved. I'm just curious what the cost structure would be. How to get the cost structure under control. But if a ballpark, if the Blue Wahoos Stadium in Pensacola, Florida, can successfully rent a ballpark and book the ballpark for people who are bringing up to 10 people, $1,500 a night, if they can do something like that, this has to be feasible in this day and age where the pandemic is getting people to try new things, this day and age of Airbnb. It's one of the reasons why I'm talking about this. I've been kind of surprised to see my alma mater not embrace technology as much as I thought they would. Yeah, I worked for a guy who's a big AV geek and stuff. He made me into an AV geek. You learn from the best. So he goes, all that AV geek stuff and whatnot, and they were very slow to adopt flash memory. They were still they're still loaning cameras with DV tapes years after the YouTube revolution. So I've been surprised. And some of the YouTube videos I have seen from them officially have been a little subpar. Like, nobody at this place, despite the AV geeks that I went to, that I learned all this stuff from, really embraced the new media, the whole new media thing, quite like what I've done with YouTube on my own. So I don't know if it's bureaucracy or if it's not the focus of the college or something along those lines, but I'm very surprised that they've been behind on some forms of this new media technology over the last, since I graduated. This would be a cool way to catch up. I would not be surprised if they didn't think of this as something specifically. I'm very surprised that they didn't think of this. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't think of this because they're focusing on other stuff. Think about it for a second, group of folks who went to school with each other, rooming together, having a reunion, so to speak, having, maybe parties, and maybe now that we're older, it takes the edge off of our parties so we're not as wild as we were back in the day. But yeah, nothing is going to bring back those years. I think we all know that. If you're chasing nostalgia, it's always a fool's errand. It's one of those cool things, though, to say you were able to do. In my case, so I'm trying to brainstorm how that would work. So, here's what I had in mind. The housing progression at my alma mater was generic dorm as a freshman, apartments, suite apartments afterwards, And then seniors had the option of townhouse condos, basically. Now, I showed those pictures earlier because, you know, it'd be really cool if in the post-YouTube era, so to speak, I could actually make some videos from some of these, like, rooms where my interest in all of this stuff really blossomed. So I showed the OG Geek Suite. I still got the PowerPoint open. No, I closed it, actually. The OG Geek Suite, as well as the townhouse room from when I was a senior and played all that Morrowind. It'd be really cool if there was a way to Airbnb. You know, if I did that, if there was a way to Airbnb that would be something I might actually spring for. I mean, there are restaurants and amenities, and I think it would have to be through the senior housing, though, because then we'd have kitchens and stuff, whereas the non-senior housing at that place doesn't have kitchens, can't have hot pots and stuff like that. It's against fire code, blah, 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 blah. No microwaves in the dorms, things like that. So I don't know how it would work otherwise. You know, it'd be really cool. This is more me personally than what this idea could be. Lodge in the room I had as a senior, but be able to set up some stuff, not sleep in this room, but set up in the room I had that last summer, the OG Geek Suite. That is YouTube material waiting to happen, and some streaming too. Hop on the mostly empty college network, probably. Take a computer, do some streams of Morrowind from the place where I played it the most. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, it is introverted nerd entertainment, I know. But I would give that, if that was doable, I would schedule a week or two off. If we can get the cost to something reasonable, I absolutely would schedule a week or two off work and go on vacation to this place. So how would this work? It'd be late summer, and I know that my alma mater operates year-round. They try to book the college as a place to host conferences and stuff. So, you know, they have the regular, you know, educational stuff, and then they rent out for conferences in the summer. But what if it's not for formal, full-size conferences? What if you're talking individuals? What if you pitched something to the alumni as like some kind of nostalgia thing where, you know, come back or whatnot, you know, return to the townhouses or whatever, the way it was as a senior, things like that. And you Airbnb the senior housing, and everybody has kitchens. They have kitchens, they can cook, so you can go buy food from the local grocery store if you don't want to go to like restaurants and stuff every single night. You have those options available. You have a stove, you have a microwave, you can have laundry in your townhouse. Not that you'd want to use it, but if this was a thing, I very seriously would consider a 2-week vacation from work. And I would plan an itinerary and many, many YouTube videos that I would record and then get to work on when I got back. I would not be spending time editing while doing this, but I would plan things out. I would record stuff, maybe do some computer tinkering, do some nostalgia stuff for Facebook, for my friends and family, that kind of thing, and then more YouTube-y stuff for YouTube, and do some game streaming of Morrowind, probably vanilla Morrowind, play through Morrowind, then maybe add mods or something like that, and just stream that. Probably everything would be on YouTube. I probably wouldn't do anything on Twitch for that. But yeah, so stream everything on YouTube, so to speak, and have, at the end of all of this, a ton of YouTube videos and some streams of Morrowind that were related to this event as its own playlist. I don't know. I'm just imagining myself testing this out and seeing what the experience would be like. And it'd be cool, you know, the nostalgia, take a day, get up, you know, get a campus tour or something, go see what's new, what the buildings they've built since then, be proud of what today's graduates have. Maybe, you know, look through the classrooms, look at, you know, where I crammed for exams or something like that. Just the nostalgia value of this. This is the sort of thing that maybe, I don't know if alumni would want to do this more than once, but it's one of those bucket list things where it'd be really cool that in today's world where people are rethinking how they do stuff, especially when it comes to monetization, stuff like that, it'd be really cool if this was something that was doable in this day and age of Airbnb, because I would spring for it if the price was right. So maybe you have a situation like late summer. Campus is empty. You're between the end of summer classes and the beginning of fall classes, and the senior townhouses get Airbnb'd specifically to the alumni who would want to do something like this, or get a bunch of buddies, get back together, catch up on old times, have some parties, maybe even do a packy run, put something on TV, watch a couple of, there wouldn't be football at that time because it's late summer, maybe a couple of baseball games or something, have fun with the buddies. There has to be a way to market this to the alums. Now, some people may even think about taking this further and having it be like, be a college kid for a day, Airbnb, late summer. I don't know if that's really a good idea, because then you're talking about the college's reputation if the wrong people party too hard, so to speak. There's some people that are pursuing a caricatured stereotype of what college life really is. I can tell you that my school is not a party school. They would actually fine you for the dumbest little things when it came to alcohol. So the alcohol restrictions kept getting tightened up the more I was there. And it wasn't even a religious college. So it's just that their reputation mattered and their brand mattered, so to speak. So too much negative publicity with the local press, and you could expect the rules to get tightened up. Just the way they operated. It's selling a brand, so to speak. That's where you're talking like products and services, non-human, so to speak, not really personal stuff. So that's where building and managing a brand is very important with this kind of thing. That's where I'd agree with this idea for that sort of thing. But I'm seriously thinking I should message someone in the Alumni Association and see if anyone's even ever tossed around this idea. It kind of be a nifty little thing, especially if it's one of those things, maybe you do it once for like a vacation or something. And there's more than enough alumni across multiple graduation years to make this a regular thing in late summer. And I know that these folks do rent the place, and they have folks at the conferences that stay in hotels or something. But I'm just curious. I think there's something marketable here. Because anybody who's fondly remembers college and would like, hey, let's have some fun, not necessarily go back, so to speak, but like, haha, something like it. It'd be kind of like, it's like college, but not really. Kind of like when you have your on-campus orientation as an admitted student at the admitted student open house and you spend a night in the dorms. But we're talking about, maybe booking a weekend or a week or 2 weeks. So like, it could be a whole vacation if you really want it. And of course, how would you handle like family and stuff like that? That's another thing too. And how much, if you want people to be able to stay away from the others because they're kind of having like more of a spiritual journey, so to speak, just some nostalgia or something. It's not really a get together with their friends. You'd want to have that kind of option too. But I think there's more than enough housing for them to block it off, so to speak. If I was going to be the guinea pig for this, I would love to be able to Airbnb essentially my senior room. I would make YouTube videos in the townhouse by myself. I don't care. No, I would basically probably do some tech tinkering because you're talking about where I got into computer hardware and stuff along those lines. There'd be a ton of YouTube videos that would come out of that. I do 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I'd buy food and stuff, check out local attractions in the area, maybe check out how the campus has been doing, maybe catch up with the AV boss if he's still there, check out what happened to my old office. There'd be tons and tons of content. I have cameras, smartphones going all over the place. I'd probably have more personal videos for family and friends on Facebook and more MultimediaJay videos for YouTube, and do some streaming of Morrowind. But if I could go revisit the OG Geek Suite, maybe, set it up or something, just for the heck of it, make some videos there or something like that. That would be fun as all heck. There's no kitchen in that part of the campus though, so. Yeah, it's a crazy idea, but in this day and age, with the pandemic upending the way a lot of places do business, all bets are off. You can't really say that anything is really too ridiculous. I feel a draft. Let me go see if the door got blown open. Hold on a second. Nope, the heat just hasn't run in long enough that the down fan is causing a draft on its own. Am I a hopeless nostalgic? Perhaps. For even thinking of this idea, who knows? I can definitely say what I have now is something I enjoy a lot more than what I had in college. But a lot of that is because the technology's better. the lights that I have, the powerful computer that's also power efficient that I have, the streaming setup, the geek house. It's something that I'm really thankful for, really grateful for. And I think it's definitely an improvement over the way things were then. But it's just kind of fun, you know. My dad and my uncle, they had their like one last trip to where they grew up. Also on my YouTube channel is kind of a Wonder Years type video about my last Massachusetts trip in 2016, where my dad and we checked out what became of the area where I was a little kid. And we're like, yeah, I'm glad we came to Connecticut, because I would have grown up even more in the woods if we'd stayed in Massachusetts. So it's just these things where it's kind of a bucket list item. It may be a silly sounding idea, but you'd be surprised what you can sell when it comes to sentimental value. If there's sentimental value involved, things get really bizarre really quickly. Just watch, like, for example, Pawn Stars, or one of these like pawn shop shows, these reality shows, where somebody comes in and they try and sell something at way too high of a price because of sentimental value. You don't mess with sentimental value, folks. You don't mess. I mean, you don't mess with that stuff. If myself and a bunch of college buddies wanted to do this and we all like Airbnb'd our old townhouses or something, that would be awesome. I mean, yeah, we wouldn't necessarily have to sit in our rooms all the time because there's things to do. There's restaurants, shopping malls, there's other places. Obviously, this is post-pandemic, so when everything opens back up, if this, you know, monetization option is still something that the brass at the alma mater would consider, I think it actually could be something they could probably sell on a very regular basis to alumni. Maybe have the Alumni Association coordinate all of this during that block in late summer when the conferences are going on campus. So there's going to be some people walking around depending on what's going on, as well as, you know, the summer school folks summer classes people are gone, but the fall class people haven't arrived yet. And maybe they could, you know, shut everything down so that the maintenance folks can clean everything up for everybody coming in for the fall semester. But if there was an option of like a weekend or a week or 2 weeks, I would actually spring for that. And I would bring a lot of equipment. I would plan this thing out. There would be a mountain of YouTube videos that would come out of that sort of thing. Also videos on other platforms too, like Facebook stuff for family and friends. And I just keep saying the same stuff over and over again. I need to quit being so redundant. But that's the thing. So the ad revenue from that, so to speak, would basically recoup some of the cost of doing all this in the first place. Just from a cost perspective and an insurance perspective and all the other stuff related to running something like this, the institution would have to figure out how this could be done. Same thing too if they wanted to expand beyond senior stuff, because the seniors had kitchens in the townhouses. So if you wanted the freshman experience, now maybe you don't have a roommate. Maybe you have a single room or something in your freshman dorm. Maybe you Airbnb your first college dorm room ever. You're like, yeah, I remember when I was 18, 19, da-da-da-da. Oh, how things are so different. Just look, the nostalgia value is over the top, but the logistics are what they'd have to figure out, because there was only like a common microwave in the freshman dorms. So it was not the sort of place where you could cook anything. And if you had that stuff, it was against fire code, and do alumni get away with stuff that the students get written up over, and their hot plates get pulled out of their rooms, da-da-da. Also, from one of my colleagues there who was involved with Res Life, it was also an electrical issue. The wiring was only for so much for all those college kids running their computers. So now you get too many of them with microwaves and stuff, and it's just too much on the circuits. So institutional though they were with the concrete walls and everything. So to expand this beyond senior housing, I don't know if it's doable, but I would spring for room where I was as a senior when I played all that Morrowind. Lodge there for whatever the costs would be for a 2-week stay, and have the option of having some kind of YouTube videos in the OG Geek Suite. Not sleeping there, but set up some technology and just lock the door when I wasn't there. I would spring for something like that. Now, And I'm not the kind of millennial that spends money on memories. I spend money on things, equipment, sound systems, TVs, AV setups, video games, stuff I enjoy for a long period of time. I'm not the kind of person to blow all kinds of money on an experience where I come out with memories and maybe a few YouTube videos. So this is something very seriously for my alma mater and other alma maters to think about. What kind of potential is there for selling essentially nostalgia trips to alumni who would do something like this? And especially if you have like a full kitchen and stuff in some of the student housing. So I was just wondering what would become of this, especially if it became an event where a lot of alumni did this every year, or once every couple of years or something. It's the way they had their reunions with their buddies. Get together in the place where it all began, have some fun, some parties, some get-togethers, order some pizza, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe you meet people from different generations of graduates, maybe make some professional contacts, some new friends, who knows? It is essentially centered around, we all went to college here, so... And then, of course, we have to figure out the logistics. What if there are kids involved? You have people with families and jobs and stuff. And what if, they can't get childcare or something? Kids and stuff like that. It might kind of erode some of the experience. But I can tell you that I would spring for more of a spiritual journey, kind of introverted type thing. Unless I knew some of my old college buddies were doing this. Then, I'd probably do some kind of get-together or something like that. But I would spring for this. It's the sort of thing I would plan as a vacation. Just different kinds of lodgings from a hotel or something. Very curious if this could be doable, especially in this day and age where the pandemic has upended the way people think about venues and stuff like that, and trips and stuff along those lines. Although it's not to say that I haven't thought about doing this before with stuff that wasn't my alma mater. Some of the hotels that have been built, for example, in my neck of the woods some of the amenities look pretty nice, even the swimming pools and stuff. I said many years ago that I would love to have a swimming pool pass to a local hotel's pool, so to speak, if I ever want to go swimming. Instead of going out to a YMCA or something, it was just a way of doing business and bringing in more revenue from the same piece of property that the hotel could do. And some of the hotels I've been in are way nicer than most places I've lived. So just go out there and have a nice hotel room, maybe on the ocean or something. My folks have done that. They've had plans for vacations where literally they just went to a hotel and enjoyed the hotel with a view of the ocean. Maybe they went to a restaurant here and there or did some things, but they're introverts and whatnot. So they mostly be happy with, open the window and listen to the waves. Because we don't have that around here. That's the kind of coolness, so to speak, that powers a lot of things that people are willing to spend money on. And millennials, with our reputation for buying experiences, though I don't really fit that mold very well, this whole thing with college flashback Airbnb would be one of the few ways I would consider that. So, that's an interesting discussion for roughly an hour or so. Managed to get it done before sunrise. And this is the kind of odds and ends type streaming and stuff that you may see me do on YouTube as opposed to on Twitch. Goes along with the YouTube channel. But I have a lot of stuff to work on to get videos back into the limelight on the YouTube channel. Channel trailers as well. I want to have the formal stuff and everything. I need channel trailers for YouTube, and I need channel trailers for Twitch. So, also want to take the videos specifically in the direction of resembling television a little more. Give them some more concentrated coolness versus streams and stuff from streams. All the sort of stuff to position everything on the channel to emerge from the pandemic with everything still in one piece. Looking forward to the vaccine going out in 2021 and whatever happens as we emerge from this mess. But I know some things are gonna be different. I know we're not going back to the old way of doing things with some things. For example, schools. Schools in my area or in other areas may not have snow days because they've gotten so used to remote learning that they can just go remote instead. Or hybrid learning or something. So that could be more of a thing. There's definitely going to be there's more people that have gotten involved with some kind of video production from Zoom meetings and other stuff. Maybe they tried streaming on the side because they already bought the equipment for it. I know there's been a surge in new streamers and new YouTubers this year. So there are some things that are not going back to the way they were as a result of this pandemic. And I'm curious if some of the things like the more bizarre Airbnbs, like renting the ballpark in Florida and that kind of stuff, as well as ideas like the college flashback Airbnb that I've been talking about here, whether that could become more of a thing as colleges and universities really rethink, the way they make money off of their property. Especially when, if they're like my alma mater, they're already renting as conference destinations, formal conferences for large organizations. This is like individuals, specifically alumni, looking for some kind of nostalgic experience. That's the target market here. I really think I need to get on the horn with some folks from my alumni association. Get some contacts, maybe see what resources are available in case, do more tech stuff, because there's nothing out here except warehouses. I'd be torn though. I'd be really torn in terms of leaving this place to go make more money somewhere else. Because I really like the nice quiet house out in the woods-ish. Not as much as before, but I've liked this place. I'd like to clean it up and, kind of streamline it a bit. Not to be like the next Marie Kondo or something, but yeah. So, something to think about. I definitely want to privately, maybe message and talk to these people about whether this idea has been thrown around or not. Probably some logistical issues to figure out, like insurance, liability, things like that. But you're talking about alumni here. You're not talking college kids that are still wild and crazy because they're 20, 21, 22. You're talking folks in their 30s, 40s looking for some different form of a vacation, so to speak. And you're Airbnb-ing student housing in late summer between the summer classes and the fall classes. So, and if you poke around Airbnb, you'll see why I'm thinking about this in the first place. Because there are Airbnb, the ballpark Airbnb was one wild example, but there are Airbnbs of all kinds of places. If you want to experience staying overnight in a house that's not like where you live, you could probably find an Airbnb that does that. Like a rustic cottage out in the country, or maybe like a really nice apartment in the city. You look out and see all the traffic and the lights. People are getting artistic with Airbnbs these days. Poke around for something besides, cheap rooms to stay if you don't want to stay in a hotel. People that are just doing the bed and breakfast thing. And you'll find some very bizarre Airbnbs these days. So I don't think anything is off the table when it comes to colleges and universities playing to the nostalgia of their graduates by Airbnb-ing some kind of college flashback type experience. Or something, or meet up with your buddies and reminisce on the good old days, maybe have some social gatherings together. Obviously, all of this is post-pandemic, but I think it's something that could go somewhere. Very curious. I think I need to get in charge. I think I need to stop talking and just get in touch with somebody, just pitch the idea. As again, sometimes my alma mater's been slow to adopt certain types of technology or get with the times on some things. Mostly niche technology stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case again. Regardless. Alright. Social medias, youtube.com/MultimediaJay, twitter.com/MultimediaJay, twitch.tv/MultimediaJay, multimediajay.wordpress.com, and MultimediaJayTV on Instagram. I'm experimenting with Imager as well, but I don't have anything visible there yet. I want to make it the home for all these color-boosted screenshots and other things I do in Picasa. Just another element of multimedia for a guy going by the name MultimediaJay, whose YouTube channel is focused on multimedia stuff. Shouldn't surprise anybody. We'll talk about that more when it becomes more of a thing. And how is that for a segue to the end of this Slink song for ending the stream? Not bad. At least we played some music and talked about things, but it's the middle of the night. A lot of people are probably going to be watching this after the fact anyways. Whatever. One last knockback of the cold ones. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.